Uncle Doug.
Uncle Dan.
Last week,
Yeah.
you and Uncle Mark did a show without me.
We did.
I'm so mad.
We proved it could be done.
I am so mad.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Right.
Actually, it was my fault. I left you.
You did. You went on a grand vacation.
I went on an adventure.
Yeah.
I went to Spain.
España.
Viva España. And it was lovely, and it was great. And
you look rested and well. And
do I? Because I'm totally jet lagged. I just literally I got back in at midnight yesterday after being awake for 24 hours.
yeah,
so.
it's a rough flight back from Spain. I don't know what it is. You're going against the time zone,
right?
And it's a tough one.
To me, the getting back into the swing of things is easier coming back than it is going out there.
I'm the opposite.
Because going out there, I just get wrecked. And coming back after one night's sleep, I'm usually back into the swing of things.
I'm the complete opposite.
That's interesting. Anyway.
Anywho, you're back.
I'm back, but we are now down a man still.
Uncle Mark is ghastly, deathly sick.
He's dying.
Pray,
ladies and listeners.
Thoughts and prayers.
Pray for Uncle Mark, who is sick and alone in Canada.
In the cold north. Yeah, I really feel for him.
Sad and desperate.
The only consistent thing on this show is me.
No, that's just not the case at all. At least not. It has been for a long time.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Anywho. Lately, yeah.
But we can do it without him.
We can do it without him, and we intend to.
Yes.
We will sally forth. First, I am going to let Spain be my inspiration and talk about a saint.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take on the first half of the beginning of time.
You are. You are indeed. We're going to do some Bible-y stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to do Genesis.
Oh, God. Buckle up, kids. We're in for a bumpy ride. Let's do it.
Let's do a show. Well, Uncle Dan.
Hey!
Since Uncle Mark is not with us.
I know. What a bum.
We're robbed of our usual effervescent banter.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're robbed of his whatever banter.
He doesn't do much on this show.
You and I can still effervesce with great aplomb.
Who was the drummer before Ringo Starr?
Pete Best.
Pete Best. He's the Pete Best of the podcast.
Yeah, he is. And he's not here to defend himself, so that's going to just stay.
So anyway,
here's the thing. As you know, I've been a traveler.
You have. You've been abroad.
And a man, so there you go. And I was in beautiful Spain.
It's a beautiful country.
There's a lot to be said for that place. I've always been in love with Spain. I love the history of it. I may have to cover, I don't know, maybe next week I'll cover just sort of the history, the religious history of Spain, because that whole Iberian Peninsula has been through some stuff.
You'll knock that off next week.
Yeah.
The entire history of Spain.
It doesn't take that long. Duh. All you have to do is go to the Alhambra once and you're like, I love that I said Alhambra.
Yeah, that was
I've never
nice.
said that before. It's Alhambra. Or if you're Spanish, Alhambra.
That's right.
Or
if you're Spanish, it's Alhambra.
the TH thing.
Did it get you?
The lisp thing is really interesting because they don't lisp all of the S sounds.
They do C's and Z's. They don't do S's.
Right. So they'll say gracias.
Yeah.
And it's a hard
Gracias.
S at the end, but it's a TH sound, and that's so weird.
It takes a little while to get used to, and I speak Spanish, but I speak very American or Mexican New World Spanish.
Right.
So the C's and Z's were never something I'd ever attempted.
No. If you had been in Argentina instead of Honduras, you would.
Well, they don't do the C's and Z's.
They do a different thing.
They do the double L's as a J. So
yeah, but I think there are Argentinian. I could be wrong on that, but I thought that there was an Argentine dialect where they did this.
I'm going to go on the record right now and say, well, they also use vos in Argentina, which is an alternate familiar form of tu. But I'm going to go on record and say the Argentines speak the most beautiful Spanish in the world.
Oh, interesting.
I really believe that.
And, that's cool.
And they also believe it.
Yes, yeah, they're convinced of it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting sidelined, but I like it. I had a friend who he's Portuguese.
Yeah.
And he speaks, well, he's actually British, but his family is Portuguese, and he speaks Portuguese. And he was talking about how Brazil has the most beautiful Portuguese on the planet. And he says he thinks it's because of the slave trade, and the African influence on the language.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
One of the places that I went while I was away was Barcelona.
Yes.
The beautiful cultural town of Barcelona, where your Spanish is worth less.
Yes.
Because it's Catalan there, and that's confusing as shit.
Exactly.
I speak some Spanish, enough to get by, except in Barcelona.
Right.
Fortunately, everybody speaks English there, so it's okay. Anyway, it's one of my favorite cities in the world. It's one of the great cosmopolitan cities with a hugely diverse population and a thriving and completely unique culture. Mm-hmm. Unlike the rest of Spain, which is actually not that diverse. But Barcelona, totally cosmopolitan. It is a city of arts and very much of architecture. If you have not been there, or if you don't know anything about that, if you don't know anything about like the works of that crazy motherfucker Gaudí, buckle up and dig into that, because that is some fun stuff.
Yeah, Google, if you have not done this before, Google Sagrada Familia and have your mind thoroughly blown.
And every time I go to Barcelona, by the way, Sagrada Familia is different.
Right, they keep adding to it.
Right. So they're trying to be done, I think, by 2022, because that's the 100-year anniversary of Gaudí's death.
They won't be.
They might be. They're working hard.
I don't know.
But it's going to look totally different. They're building, you know how high those spires are?
Yes.
Those are going to be dwarfed.
I know.
By the giant big spires that are putting in.
And they're going to be done by 2022?
That's what they say.
All right.
I mean, we build stuff here that's like, 40 stories in like 2 years. So there's no reason why they can't do it. They're just slow about it. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Anyway, go to Barcelona and see for yourself.
Indeed.
But, Gaudí is an interesting case study for Barcelona, because his work is so wild and off-kilter from anything else that you've ever seen, and yet the people there didn't reject it. They were just like, they just owned that shit. They were like, okay, cool, this is what we're all about. Let that genius freak flag fly. So that's what Barcelona is.
Yeah.
But that's not always how Barcelona was, because it is a city that has some history. Indeed. And I mean, it goes back a ways. It goes all the way. Apparently, they found evidence of people living there dating back to before 5000 BCE.
Wow.
So, it's been around for a minute. But it really got going as a town right around the time Jesus was theoretically walking around in the Middle East. The Romans built it up as a castrum, which is a fortified military camp. They built a wall around it and everything, which the Romans were wont to do.
Right.
And then every couple hundred years, it was conquered by a different group. The Visigoths, then Charlemagne, then the Moors under Almanzor. That killed almost everybody. Then they were part of Aragon, and then finally they merged with España under Ferdinand and Isabella. So, a lot of history there. But let's get back to that Roman period, because there are still some remnants of that era, both physical and sort of in the collective zeitgeist of the city. One place where all those elements collide is in the lovely cathedral that is the heart of the city's Gothic district. It's a gorgeous example of Catalan Gothic architecture, although the sort of plainness of the old Catalan churches wasn't as cool as the French and German Gothic stuff, so those cheating motherfuckers went and added a neo-Gothic facade at the end of the 19th and early 20th century, which is what looks so stunning right now. So I was shocked to learn that.
You were pretty pissed off about
I was like, what? That is that shit's new? Anyway,
newish. It's 117 years old.
Yes, indeed.
It's
new. It's newish.
Yeah.
By comparison to like other Gothic architecture,
right?
It's entirely new. Anyway, but it's still a gorgeous cathedral. It's formerly titled the Catedral Basílica Metropolitana de Barcelona, or simply just the Barcelona Cathedral. But it's also known as the Cathedral of the Holy Cross and Saint Eulalia, or Eulalia, or however you want to say it.
How do you spell it?
Eulalia.
Eulalia.
Yeah. Eulalia.
Eulalia. Sure, why not?
Anyway, the cathedral has some really cool features, not the least of which being an elevator that will take you to a pretty awesome view from the roof.
Oh.
Pretty sure that's not proper Gothic either.
No.
But I'm not 100% on that. Anyway, another one is that it contains part of the original Roman wall that it was sort of built onto. But one really weird thing is that right at the front of the pews, if you were to attend Mass there, right at the front of the pews, there's a wide staircase that's about the width of all of the pews that descends down into the crypt. So if you were to attend Mass there and you sit in one of the front rows, you can look up and see the priest on the altar, or you can look down and see this. You can see sort of a glimpse of a stone sarcophagus through a bunch of bars. And who is the revered occupant of this holy sepulchre? Well, as one of the cathedral's names would suggest, it's the first of the two patron saints of Barcelona herself, Saint Eulalia.
Right on.
Yeah, so actually, it's probably not her, really.
Right.
But maybe, probably not.
Or just a piece of her.
Or just a piece of somebody.
Right.
One of the problems of Saint Eulalia is that there are two of them. Eulalia of Barcelona and Eulalia of Merida, which is another city in Spain. Or maybe there's just one of them and the stories get passed around and messed up and reattributed and co-opted, and they probably were never true to begin with.
That is going to be the theme of this show.
Right? But here are the stories of Saint Eulalia. You be the judge. Saint Eulalia of Barcelona was a Christian girl, a virgin. So important to mention that she was a virgin.
Of course.
About 13 years old, who lived in Barcelona around 300 CE, so right about the time of Roman Emperor Diocletian, Christianity's favorite villain for a long time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was the guy who was credited with popularizing that delightful entertainment of feeding Christians to lions, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, young Eulalia wouldn't obey the edict that everyone had to renounce all religious professions other than belief in the Roman gods. She, like the little Gen Z teenager that she was, valiantly refused to recant her Christianity just because some cishet old white boomer told her to. She was going to be true to herself, and damn the consequences. And damn the consequences.
I'm assuming it didn't end well for old Ukulele.
Nope, no. Unlike the pampered egos of today's teens, okay, I know, I'm a Gen X or whatever, don't at me. Shit got real back in the day. And it got real in 13 specific ways.
Oh my God.
I present to you the tortures of Saint Eulalia. They began with imprisonment in apparently a very tiny prison.
Okay.
Whipping. Then combing, which is the tearing of skin using carding combs, wool carding combs.
Oh, okay.
She was forced to walk barefoot on burning embers. They cut off or burned, depending on who you talk to, her breasts. Rubbed her wounds with rough stones.
Jesus.
Branded her with cast iron. Threw boiling oil on her. And then, because that's not enough, molten lead. Then submerged her in burning lime. Then locked her in a flea box. And since none of this killed her, put her in a barrel full of, depending on who you ask, knives, swords, or broken glass, and rolled her down the street.
Oh, my God.
And then finally crucified her a la Ramsay Bolton on a big giant X.
Wow.
Which you can see images of her crucified onto.
This was
X.
all because she wouldn't give up her God and be a pagan.
Right. So you'd be the judge of whether she may have made a mistake in that. Because suddenly recanting doesn't seem like such a bad idea to me.
She was 13.
Yeah, that's the theory.
Okay. So I get it. 13 plagues for 13 years or some shit like that.
I don't know.
Okay.
Or let's just keep going.
Got him.
I mean, I'm guessing, look, plenty of people were actually tortured
Sure.
for not recanting their Christianity. So that's totally believable. Is it believable that a 13-year-old survived all of those tortures?
No.
No. Completely unreasonable. P.S. When I say she survived all of those tortures, guess what? She survived all of those tortures.
Oh, even the barrel.
Then, because she survived all of that, in a flourish that can only come from the bullshit that is a hagiography, she was finally decapitated, at which point a dove flew out of her headless neck.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
So there's that.
Jesus.
And that's how you know she's a saint. You know, if a dove flies out of your neck when you're decapitated, I don't even think you have to go through. I think you're just automatically a saint.
Boy,
aren't you?
The Catholic imagination, 500 CE.
I know.
Is just a painful place to be.
Yeah.
Slightly less painful than the actual world, but fair enough.
Right, yeah, exactly. So that's Saint Eulalia of Barcelona.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Saint Eulalia of Merida, who was a 13-year-old Christian girl during the time of Diocletian who refused to recant and was made to suffer horrible tortures, at the end of which a dove flew out of her mouth.
Oh.
Totally different thing.
Completely different.
Oh, and also her body, which is totally legit, is all the way over in Oviedo, which is the whole other side of Spain.
Duh.
So no chance that they're the same story attributed to different parts of the same areas of the world.
Right.
Obviously, different people. So there you go. The really funny and sad postscript to the story of Saint Eulalia is that Barcelona kind of doesn't care about her anymore.
Oh, really?
They kind of left her for somebody else.
Oh, they have a new saint.
There are two patron saints of Barcelona, and apparently what happened was, in Barcelona, there was a plague of locusts one year, and I have no idea when this happened. I could have done more research, I suppose.
All right.
But why? Anyway, there was a plague of locusts. They were eating all their crops. The people were freaked out. So they pray to Eulalia of Barcelona, please stop this. But she was like, busy. So she didn't do it. And then they prayed to the Virgin of Grace, and I'm totally going to nail this Catalan pronunciation because I have zero idea how to say it, Mare de Dieu de la Mercè.
All right.
Yeah, nailed it. Anyway, the Virgin of Grace, saved them. So, if you want to see a boring, stupid festival, you can go there at the end of November and see the Festival of St. Eulalia, which is apparently just
It's winding down.
Just whatever. But if you want to have some crazy fucking times, you can go there in September, as I did the last time I went to Barcelona. Completely unaware I was of the Festival of Saint Mercè, or of just Mercè. And holy fucking shit!
Really?
I was walking around blissfully ignorant that there was a festival happening at all. Because I had just gotten there. I did no research. I was actually there because I have a friend who has a flat there. And I was just there for a week before I went to another thing in southern France. And I just thought, why not go to Barcelona? I got a free place to stay. So I went there. And I got up the day after I got there, wandered into the Gothic district, and I saw a whole bunch of people all streaming to this one place. So, by the way, if you're a traveler and you see a whole bunch of people streaming to a place, go to the place.
Go to that place.
Always go to the place. So I went to the place, and they were doing that thing of human towers. They were building the human towers.
Yeah.
So cool and terrifying, but amazing. And so I saw that, and then they do this thing called the folk or whatever, and that's like they're spraying, like they've got these fireworks that shoot sparks everywhere, and then pop, a loud pop, and they just spray sparks at you and around you, and they're spinning things that are spinning sparks everywhere, and people are in costumes, and it's a badass fun time.
Who knew?
A little bit crazy. You probably will get hurt. I definitely did, but it's so much fun. Anyway, so Eulalia, the first patron saint of Barcelona, kind of got kicked over for Saint Mercè.
Boy, she can't buy a break, this poor girl.
No. So there you go. There you have it.
All right.
Saint Eulalia.
Saint Eulalia
of Barcelona, not to be confused with that other one.
No, fuck that other girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares about her?
All right, then.
And with that, let's move on.
Let's move on.